Okay, let's have a look at this from breakfast this morning. There was a conversation around what's happening at Kainga Ora because, you may not have heard of this, Chewy, but this government's pretty mean and they're sort of, pulling back and cutting back. It's breaking news, actually. It hasn't happened much this year. And they've just decided that they get rid of a whole lot more people who work at Kainga Ora because there's far too many helping people who need housing. There's far too many of them.
Speaking of working, Ginny, I'll come with you to you. The government's planning, they are going to be cutting over 300 jobs from Kainga Ora. I mean, how do you think that this is going to impact social housing needs? There's also 300 projects that are on hold here as well.
There's a lot of cuts that have gone on to Kainga Ora, and it's a real loss. We still need more homes. And what concerns me is the government boasting about the number of people that have come out of emergency housing, but there are no additional homes being built by this government, and they're expecting us to say they've all gone into private rentals, but we don't know where most of them have gone. So my real concern is we'll return back to the times under the previous national government where people were living in cars and we had a real desperate situation. So they need to keep building homes in New Zealand. We still don't have enough for the people we have here.
Chris, what does Kainga Ora mean by moving?
Most of those facts, can I just rebut most of those facts? Number one, we do know where the people going out of emergency housing are going. We know where 80% of them are going. They are going to social homes built by Kainga Ora or community housing providers or private rentals. We track that data. The number of families living in emergency housing has declined by over 50% under this government because of the changes that Tama Potaka and I have made to the way in which MSD works and the placement systems between MSD and Kainga Ora. Really simple changes, and it's proven really effective, and I'm really proud of the record we're making there. Second thing is, Kainga Ora is building houses right now. They are going to build over the next 2 years or so around 3,000 houses around New Zealand. What we are saying to them, though, is that they need to be more efficient and more effective with how they build. And the third point I'd make is the job cuts at Kainga Ora. Firstly, I didn't order them. It's an operational issue for the agency. Yeah. But the more important point is that the changes that are being made started under the last Labour government. So they've had this thing called Project Velocity. It's a housing delivery system. It's called the housing delivery system.
All right, sorry, I'm just going to pause it there in an awkward place because I want to bring this story in super quick. Look at that, just like magic, it appeared. 1,300 homes on hold amid government review. Kainga Ora has stopped
more than a third of what Bish was talking about.
Kainga Ora has stopped plans to build nearly 1,300 homes while it awaits the outcome of government review and the budget. So this was from earlier this year. The coalition government announced the review headed by former Prime Minister Sir Bill English, the guy who wanted to get rid of all of them, in December. Look, it's just important for us to put out there that they may be building houses now, but certainly the slowdown that they've had from when they came in, they are way behind the 8 ball compared to where they should have been and where the Labour, what was the most houses ever built since the 1950s in the last year of the Labour government? To basically none. So we just can't let them get away with it.
It's not even, calling it a slowdown gives it way more credit than it is. They hit the anchors. There are, like, even just here in Dunedin and Port Chalmers, they have cleared old state houses ready to build. There are clear building sites that have just stopped. There was a story in the ODT the other day of a family that was moved out of their accommodation and were told that they would be able to move back into a new unit. They were replacing one house with like a cluster of 5, and one of those units would be theirs. And they're not there. They're still in an emergency accommodation waiting for that build that may never happen. Who knows?
Yeah. I was just having a look because there were some graphs that came out this week, not this week, but recently, that showed very clearly Labour's building of houses, like the skyscraper, and then it was national, it was like 0, a flat line right down there, but it hasn't jumped up for me. So another day. Let's go back to Ginny and the Bish. It's Ginny and the Bish, the latest radio duo on Radio Hauraki.
Project Velocity was set up to make Kainga Ora more efficient and more effective. It was actually one of the good things that happened under the last government. The changes that are being made by the KO team now in relation to that, many of those job losses are in relation to that. That started 5 years ago. This was always the plan.
So the frozen projects, the projects across New Zealand that have stopped, are you saying that all of those builds across New Zealand that have stopped being built under your government, is that something that Labor did? Because that's just false.
It is definitely true that we have asked Kainga Ora to become more financially sustainable. We had a damning independent review of it. And the looking into Kainga Ora's build programs again started 2 years ago because even Grant Robertson and Megan Woods were really worried about the cost escalation inside Kainga Ora.
No,
so it's definitely true we've asked them to become more sustainable and more effective because we're really worried about the organisation.
I'll give you, Jenny, I'll give you right of reply.
I think, Jenny May, we need to take a think about when this government is going to start taking responsibility for its own actions and its own cuts. It's been continually blaming the last government, but when there are dozens of significant social housing builds across New Zealand and that have been stopped, and Chris Bishop is trying to blame the last government, I just think that looks lame. They need to start taking responsibility.
I'm just saying that are funded tax cuts. I'm just saying the changes announced by Kainga Ora yesterday in relation to the housing delivery system, that is a program that's been underway for 5 years or so now. It's actually, as I said, one of the decent things the last government implemented.
But you did stop several. It
is true we are reviewing. It is true. If I could just make one point, it is true we have asked the organisation to become more sustainable and efficient because they are losing $500 million a year. They've borrowed billions over the last few years.
No, this is the point that they often miss out. They've borrowed billions over the year. But what do they get for those billions?
What are their capital gains?
They actually borrowed $10 billion, which sounds like a lot. But Bish, what do they get for that $10 billion? Do you think it just kind of went on Christmas parties and stuff? Because what they actually got was $25 billion worth of houses. So it's a net positive of $15 billion. And I'm annoyed that these guys don't get called on it by anyone. Jenny's run out of time here. Can't blame her for too much of that. But this is the question that you should ask every politician when they give you a number. What was that for? What was that debt for? Because if the debt was, they went $3 billion into debt. What for? A modern state-of-the-art hospital in Dunedin. Oh, sounds like quite a good spend of money. What was it for? It was for the Christmas party for Sir John Key. Yeah, not quite so good. So just saying the amount of money is not the end of the conversation. Finding out what it was used on is actually the only thing that matters when you hear any politician talking about budgets or about money that's been spent.
And all of that has an impact on the Crown books, and this is part of getting the economy back on track and getting the Crown books back in order.
Okay,
right.
And that's the end of the time, so there's no right to reply there. Chewy, sir, have a crack.
I have 2 notes. Ginny, it would have been great if you had the numbers. How many houses are
hang on. Just in fairness, was supposed to be Kieran. He was stuck in traffic. Ginny was literally called up on Zoom.
Well, in that case,
5 minutes before. So in her defence, she did pretty well for having 5 minutes notice.
That reframes. She did brilliantly there. The other thing is, Ginny, please, you had so many opportunities to interject with Bish, please, and you didn't take any of them. I want someone to drop a Bish, please.
I want someone to drop a, would you just shut the fuck up for 1 second? Like, honestly, I want to see that because, yeah, just stop. And then you can say, Bish, please.
Like I mentioned the projects that have stopped here in the Dunedin region, in the chat there. Everybody knows of a Kainga Ora development that has stopped in their area.
Yeah.
Everyone in the chat, right throughout the country. So you can't hide that. If for every one of those stopped developments, there are tradespeople, building companies whose funding has just disappeared.
Yeah.
They're laying off apprentices, they're laying off workers. Those workers are going to Australia. We'll never see them again. So then when you don't have that workforce, well, guess what? you've got less people competing for those jobs again, and the prices go up. Like, economic vandals and social saboteurs is what we have running the show. It is unbelievable. And it just, like, I try not to think about it too much because I seethe, and it's all I think about. But every one of these houses that is not built is a family that is not housed, that does not have the surety of a location, a place to keep their stuff, a school district to be in, and a way to plan their life. They are on pause as much as these houses are. It is ridiculous. And Bish will smirk his way talking about this. Oh, we wanted them to be more sustainable and more economical. You wanted them to be cheaper.
Yep.
You wanted these people on market rents for your landlord mates who are just padding their profit margins because you gave them a tax cut, and you know that if you add more houses to the market, then prices go down and profits go down for your mates.